You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Don't get caught slipping because your mind got you tripping. You're the only one with a key, hun. Don't look left or right. Look in the mirror, son.
No one is responsible for your success but you. It's time to buckle up, Buttercup. There are some pretty significant things you can do right now to become more personally accountable and own your destiny. I've got 3 ideas for you, and the last one is the one that I really believe is going to help you with your struggle puzzle. So stick around to the end and watch the entire video to see what it is. Success is determined by your mindset. If you think it can be done, typically it can be. Now, here's a quote that I absolutely love, and it says, "Mindset is everything. Your success begins and ends with mindset. In between is grit that carries you through." So nothing is achieved really without first actually believing that you can get it done. So my question to you is, how much do you believe in your ability? Do you have the confidence and the certainty that is necessary for you to get the job done? Are you holding yourself accountable when it doesn't go right? In order to have belief that your goals can be achieved, you have to first believe that you have what it takes to achieve the goal. And in order to believe that you're capable of achieving the goal, you have to have the faith and confidence in yourself and know what your value is. And this requires some self-awareness. It requires self-control. It requires potentially some self-development, some personal development, but you've got to be accountable because the buck starts and stops with you. So buckle up, Buttercup. This is why I said initially, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. How'd you like that rap? It was cool, right? It was cool. I know. So here's the deal. Accountability is a one-person sport. You can have an accountability partner, but ultimately it's you who have to put forth the effort to do the thing that someone is going to hold you accountable for. It requires self-awareness. So you have to know what you need to do and be your best so that you can achieve the goal that you're setting out to achieve, that you can set the framework, create the workflow so that you can be productive in the thing that you are needing to hold yourself accountable for. It is how you know when you need to delegate or when it's something that you can handle on your own. It requires self-control. I talk about being able to manage the volume of your personality in just about every single video, but it is so important for you to know yourself well enough to understand what you need to do and be your best so that you can manage that. When do you need to be more? When do you need to pull back? A little self-control is important here. Can you handle the consequences of your actions? This all goes towards the self-control component of accountability. Also, accountability requires delayed gratification. As adults, we can't always have things when we want them. We have to be prepared for those times when what we want has to be delayed in order for us to get the thing that we need. Instant gratification is not a trait of a leader. Really, leaders are there to pull other people up, to influence people, to be the example. And sometimes in being the example, you're not able to get what you want. You're not able to do it the way you want to do it because people behind you are watching, they're looking, they're learning, they're growing based off of the things that you have going on. So in order to have this personal accountability, it's important to know or at least understand the concept of delayed gratification. Also, it's about boundaries. As a one-person sport, accountability requires you to set boundaries. Now, boundaries are not always meant to keep people out. Boundaries in this instance, and the way I describe it inside my program, Project CEO, is about protecting what you have on the inside, what you hold valuable, what you find important. It ensures that you're able to protect your ability to maintain your personal accountability when things kind of go haywire, go a little cuckoo, or if someone is threatening that sense of accountability. And then also here, this one-person sport of accountability requires you to be honest with yourself and people around you. Again, if you have an accountability partner, it's not going to work if you're not honest with the accountability partner. It's not going to work if you're holding yourself personally accountable and you're lying to yourself about what is actually going on and how much you've actually achieved. I also mentioned that the buck stops with you. This is another identifier that accountability is a one-person sport. Good, bad, or indifferent, the only person responsible for any action that you take or inaction that you take is you. You can't hold anyone else responsible for that but yourself. So here's a reason that people struggle with this idea of personal accountability. They struggle with it because they have an ego. They don't like admitting to failure. It's just difficult. For some people, this is a hard thing, admitting failure. They don't want to do it. Their ego won't let them. So you can't be held accountable if you won't admit or concede to failure. People struggle with it because they have a self-serving bias, all right? It's just easier for them to believe that they're responsible for their success. However, somebody else is responsible for their failure. Now, I know that's not you. That's not you. I already know. We'll just go on past that one because I know for sure if you're on the boss squad, that's not you. You're not blaming other people for your failures. Also, people have this fear of judgment. Nobody likes to be judged. Nobody wants to have people looking at them saying that what they're doing is wrong, or they don't want to be exposed to criticism of their project. Well, guys, listen. I have come to adopt, and I don't know if you've seen a couple of years ago when I did like my end of year lessons, I just came to the conclusion that done is better than perfect. And therefore, there are going to be people who criticize what I do because it's not always going to be perfect, but it's going to be done. And, criticism is going to come. If you're putting yourself out there, criticism is going to come. But the thing about criticism is for those of who love you and are holding you accountable and have a vested interest in your success, the criticism is going to be an opportunity for you to grow. So ultimately, it is a good thing. Okay. But then you have those trolls, and we don't talk about them. They don't deserve our time. You just let them have their thoughts. You go about their merry little way. But a lot of people struggle with personal accountability because they have a fear of judgment. Some people struggle with past traumas. Maybe they have associated accountability with some sort of shame. Maybe when they, spoke up about something that they did, there was a punishment involved. Even though they were being honest and they spoke up, they were trying to be accountable. Maybe there were some traumatic experiences that happened, and now there's a shame associated with the idea of coming clean or being accountable for themselves. Now, I've talked about this. In my program, Project CEO, cognitive dissonance. This is a rationalization or the denial of mistakes being made in the first place and not wanting to own up to them. Okay, so you deny, instead of owning up to this. And this is what's called cognitive dissonance. So how do you overcome these struggles? If you really want to become more personally accountable, you really want to stand in your truth and not be ashamed, not have a fear, not allow your ego to get in the way. If this is something that you really and truly want for yourself, then I suggest that you take a look at my program, Project CEO, because it's not uncommon for people to struggle with being accountable. Accountability is a product of maturity, self-awareness, self-control, personal development, and it takes time and a willingness to do the work to achieve a level of self-awareness, to achieve a level of maturity, to develop and grow as a person. It just takes a desire, it takes a willingness to do the work, right? So I'd be willing to bet that if you're watching this video, you've had bouts of doubt. You've had those insecurities, that fear of being judged. Chances are, I know I have. I mean, if you're watching this, that means you're kind of like me. So yeah, we've had these things. And if I'm being totally honest, sometimes still have them. I identify with this quite a bit, but it took some work. And what I did, the process that I hold your hand through, the journey that we go on together inside my program, Project CEO, is the exact strategy that I used to really My camera died, so I had to pull out another camera. But yeah, the strategy that I share with you inside Project CEO is the exact strategy that I use to become unapologetically me. And I know that you can do the exact same thing. And that is going to help you become more personally accountable, help you work with an accountability partner, and just help you become a lot more successful in achieving your goals. What happened was a transformation in me, and that's what you can expect for yourself. and it will improve you 100%. I promise. You will walk away feeling like you have just hit a gold mine in your ability to do the things that you need to do and achieve the goals that you need to achieve, so you can just own your awesome. Now, let's get back to these final idea that I have for you, because I think it is absolutely 100% the most important of all the ideas that I have shared with you thus far. It is so important. And ciao, if you want to own your destiny and be more accountable for yourself, this is what you need. Okay, this is this last one. But I'm gonna tell you, it's difficult for a lot of people to achieve this because it's uncomfortable, what I'm about to tell you to do. People struggle with saying no. Are you someone who struggles with putting a period at the end of your no? Because I found this to be the case with a lot of people that started off in my program. And they would rather be uncomfortable doing something that they don't want to do, saying yes to all the things, instead of saying no and just being making that person uncomfortable. And the thing that I think is the most important of the ideas that I'm sharing with you is that you teach people how to treat you, and then you hold them accountable for what they learn. Now, the challenge here is, like I said, people are afraid of the confrontation. They feel like maybe it's a little bit more aggressive than they want to be. And I think a lot of times it's an underappreciation for themselves, a lack of self-awareness and understanding and appreciating their own value. Because when we teach people how to treat us and then we hold them accountable for what they learn, it takes a lot off of our plate. It takes a lot of the occasions for having to say no off the table, because people recognize you've taught them and they are learning from what you've taught them. So when you teach people how to treat you and you make sure that you're holding them accountable for what they learn, you are setting boundaries and you are maintaining these boundaries more easily. When you are holding yourself personally accountable, what you're doing is you know your boundaries. You have set your limits. You have created an environment in your relationships where people know your personal framework, your strengths, your limitations, your desires, and your non-negotiables. And odds are, when you have communicated that concisely and clearly and effectively, you don't have as much push and pull and struggle as you would when you do not practice this level of accountability. The truth is, no one wants to be judged. No one wants to be criticized. But when you know who you are and what you need to do and be your best, you operate in that and you're holding yourself accountable and you are setting the appropriate boundaries. You are able to manage the volume of your personality and then teach people how to treat you and then hold them accountable for what they learn. You're doing your big one. You are being accountable for yourself. Now, it doesn't have to be a trigger for you. You don't have to be afraid of judgment. You don't have to be afraid of criticism. You just have to hold yourself accountable. Be responsible for the consequences of your action. Okay? So listen, this next video that I'm going to share with you, I think it's a good idea from this point, since I've talked so much about your personal framework, to really give you some insight into what that takes to achieve. So I do have a video on the construction of your own personal framework, and I think it's a good idea for you to watch it, because if you're going to be accountable and work with accountability partners and be honest with them, set the appropriate boundaries, all the things we talked about before, I think it's important for you to create a personal framework of your own. Now, what I'm sharing with you in this video is a portion of what you will learn inside my program, but I do think it's going to be quite helpful, quite valuable in what you've learned today. So I want you to head over to watch that video next, and then listen. Leave a comment over there, and when you leave that comment, make sure that you leave a purple heart, because I want to know that you went to that video because of this video. I'm just testing some things out, and you can help me with that. So that'll be really cool if you did that. But also leave a comment down here below and tell me about your thoughts on this idea of holding yourself personally accountable and being able to use what you learn about yourself to work with an accountability partner. What do you think about setting boundaries? What do you think about teaching people how to treat you? Do you struggle with that? I want to know. Leave it down in the comment. Let's talk about it. If you have not already, but you have made it to this part of the video,
please subscribe to my channel. Become a member of the Boss Squad. Let's talk it out in the comments. Let's meet up over on Instagram. Let's do all the things. All the information is down below. Make sure you hit the notification bell. If there's one thing in this video that piqued your interest, bent your ear, made you go, then that is your indicator that you should subscribe to the channel. Because if you like this, I guarantee you're going to like a lot of the things that are here already. So you have time to go and peruse. The weekend's coming to go check stuff out. Anyway, I think that does it for today. So please hit that subscribe button. Click that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And give this video a thumbs up. And come back and visit me again next week. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching today. Bye.